This is the Instant Speed Podcast brought to you by FabDB.net, your premier source for deck building tools, collection management, and simulated booster drafting. Upgrade your account at FabDB.net to get access to all of those juicy features. Bring your game to the next level. FabDB.net. It is Instant Speed episode number 30. Man, 30 episodes. Can you believe that? And our guest this week is going to be Az of Go Again Gaming. Yeah, you know Az. But before we get to Az, we got to get to the facts, ladies and gentlemen. Well, ProQuest Season number 2 is around the corner. Yeah, the bans are out there. They are live. So you got to get a new deck ready to go for Pro Season, which is happening between May 14th and June 5th, as the Pro Tour will be well underway, and in the past by then, if I'm not mistaken, you got to get your nose dirty when it comes to getting things ready for the next Pro Tour. So qualify for the next Pro Tour by winning a ProQuest between May 14th and June 5th. History packs, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, those fabled reprints that we've been talking about with the white borders from the first 3 sets. That would be Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, and Crucible of War. Those are releasing very soon. That would be May 6th. As today, we're recording this on May 3rd. And in a few days, friends, you will get your hands on the history packs. That will happen on May 6th. All right, Pro Tour, we talked about it a little bit. That is coming around the corner, too, in just a couple of weeks. But the personalities that are going to be there are of significant interest. Well, who's going to be there? Well, we got Rudy from Alpha Investments. Rudy is going to be there. You can go ahead and, poke and prod and get a little photo with Mr. Rudy. How about Federico, one of our wonderful artists responsible for such great heroes and the art behind people like Lexi Livewire. So we got Federico is going to be there as well. And how about the head honcho himself, Mr. James White? He's going to be there signing autographs, taking pictures, just taking in all the fun at the Pro Tour. I want to give a major shout out to all of our patrons, our wonderful, wonderful patrons, our Tier 3 patrons. Again, if you want to get a little bit of extra jam here and support the podcast, you can do so by going to patreon.com/InstantSpeedPod and make it happen. And our patrons this week that we're going to be thanking are all of our wonderful Tier 3 patrons, of course. Michael H., Ryan K., Kirk B., Tom R., Alaric C., Roger, and Andy T. You guys are awesome, but all of our patrons are pretty damn cool as well. Friends, it is time for episode 30 of the Instant Speed Podcast as we welcome Az from Go Again Gaming. Well, the bans are online, ladies and gentlemen, as the ban and restricted announcement of May 2nd has come and gone. A new landscape for all the heroes and all the cards that you can no longer play. So what do you got to do? You got to go to FabDB.net. Maybe you've got no ideas. Maybe you got to browse around some of the existing new decks that have arisen based on this ban and restricted announcement because, well, Pro Tour is around the corner and people are really wanting to see what the new competitive meta is going to look like. So there's some ideas floating around there. Why don't you just get your hands dirty yourself? Make your own deck. Use some of those awesome premium tools you've got, and when all is said and done, get a really cool snapshot of all the statistics and data points that you need to see how your deck is going to perform. FabDB.net. Upgrade your account today. You will not regret it. The Instant Speed Podcast is excited to welcome our next guest. He is the voice of wit and outlandish reason in the United Kingdom for Flesh and Blood. You can catch him releasing great video content for our great game here on YouTube. And let's welcome to the show Az of Go Again Gaming. Welcome, Az.
Hello. How's it going? You all right?
I'm all right. It's like I said, it's just kind of sometimes when you're balancing a schedule, again, I would never go back to a 9-to-5. I lived my life for several years. Yep. In a 9-to-5, and in all honesty, never again. However, there is something to be said about structure and routine that, as a content creator, you don't necessarily have the luxury of. So
No, you don't.
Yeah. Especially when a lot of the people that you interact with or do otherwise business with are located all over the world. You're in the UK. I'm in Canada. I just got off a call with people from like New Zealand. So there's all kinds of, four corners of the earth that we're talking here. But you are from the UK.
Oh, indeed, yeah.
So it's good to have you on the show, my friend. Honestly, it's something that has been on the agenda for a while, but here we are. And
yeah, and I'm glad to be here because, you know, the caliber and the sort of status of the people that you've had on so far is polar opposite to what I'm all about on my channel and what I like to do and what I like to experience with the game. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, what my points of view are, you know, because my stance on the game is completely different. It's all about fun and just love and community and all that good stuff, my friend.
Yeah, not everybody is going to be taking it from the same angle. I actually just recently wrote an article about getting into content creation. Somebody approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to do an article about content creation?" And I said, "Yeah." I'm like, I have struggled and hated this world for quite some time now. So, so here I say that I say hated, but it's a reality that people have to get into. And part of what I wrote about is that you need to find your angle or your corner of the landscape to sort of set up shop. And
absolutely.
And like, this is the thing. And what one of the main, not concerns necessarily, but some of the misconceptions, I would say, about content creation and the creators within a particular space is that there's two ends of the spectrum. Either we're all holding hands, singing Kumbaya, and are all good friends, or we all hate each other and we're all in competition. But there's a fine line in between that. I'm definitely somebody who likes to at least hope and think that we're all in this together, right? Like,
oh yeah, we are, and the experience that I've had, albeit I'm still very small in comparison to others. If you look at the numbers side of it, but everyone that I've dealt with and stuff, and the community that I've been involved with, including yourself and everybody else, has just been fantastic. And you know, going on to content creation, because there was a video I did recently actually that's got quite a few hits and stuff in comparison to what I normally do. And it is very much about finding your corner in whatever universe you want to cover. In this case, Flesh and Blood. And there's loads. We'll go into this obviously, but there's loads of options for new and upcoming creators to delve into now because of the stuff that's been released in Fab 2.0. So we're going to see that grow, and I can't wait to see that grow either. So yeah, it's going to be a good ride from here on, I think.
We'll certainly dive into that in just a moment. But before we do that, many people might not know you. Many people do know you, definitely. But at the same time, let's talk a little bit about your origin story, because in reality, people having a quick look at you saying, that's the guy from Aquaman. Like, that's basically it.
That's it, yeah.
You are Khal Drogo, and that's all you will be.
He was born from Atlantis to a human and a mermaid, and there he is.
Yes, the aquatic royalty that you are. Give us a bit about your origin story and how you got to where you are right now, and I guess a little bit even beyond that, where you're going. But for the most part, you know, who is Az? How did you get to where you are currently with Flesh and Blood?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, well, a lot of us come from other board games, other tabletop games, other things, and I think one of the mainstays of this entire conversation is Magic the Gathering. That's what I came from. That's what I grew up playing. But my whole origin story, really, and where I am now, is really sort of tailored to the kitchen table experience rather than anything else. So I wasn't one of these people that went to Friday Night Magic. I wasn't one of these people that went to the local game store. For me, it was just sifting through my uncle's cards, and finding the art that I liked and just making these weird and janky decks that wouldn't really work in a competitive scene. And, you know, growing up, myself and all my friends that got into it were very much playing multiplayer Commander as it is now, but back then, just round a kitchen table, having a social time, bonding over pictures on cards, and not really caring who was winning or losing. And I think that's really sort of ingrained into me and what my channel, what my ethos is really with any game that I play or that I sort of speak about. I think that's the main important thing, is the social party type vibe, just bringing people together. So yeah, growing up, I wasn't really that competitive, but more just sort of into the game for what it was. And I think a lot of people are the same, and a lot of people out there in the world who are experiencing this game are not going to be pro players. They're not going to be, you know, the top eights or what have you. They're going to be the nuts and bolts of the people that are behind it that aren't really achieving. So I think, obviously, we'll get into it, but what the article has gave us is a foundation for all those players to thrive in, which I think is good. But yeah.
Well, your approach to this, and again, we can dive into the content creator space, because a lot of people, they have their thought processes in terms of the ease of getting into this industry and such, and all they see is essentially the successes. They don't see the tires spinning in the background and everything prior to this. And yourself, specifically, your brand of content creation is quite. It's not necessarily, and this is not to a detriment, because don't take it this way, but it's not necessarily geared towards competitive play. It's not necessarily geared towards saying, if you watch this channel, if you consume my content, you will win a ProQuest, you will win a calling.
That's right.
But
you won't. That you won't. Yeah, that's right.
In fact, it's detrimental. In fact, if you watch my content, you're even less likely to do so. No, but your approach to this is much like your introduction to card games, and what essentially gripped you with card games was the fun aspect, right? The kitchen table, the creativity. So talk a little bit more about what Go Again Gaming is, and what as looks to what people can expect. You subscribe to Go Again Gaming. You're part of that culture. What can you get out of it? What are you offering people who subscribe?
Basically, a safe place to play games and experiment with what you want to do and what you want to build. Because the meta, albeit I don't know much about it, and I couldn't speak about it like everybody else could, but it is very much a trifecta of heroes that you have to play in order to be good. Whereas with regards to my channel, my sort of community, all that sort of stuff is based on what do you want to play? How do you want to experience the game of Flesh and Blood? What do you want to achieve out of it? If you want to achieve top 8 results and all that sort of thing, I'm not the person to watch. But if you just want to achieve, a new idea or a new hero that you might not necessarily play, and you want to experiment with things, that's the sort of thing I want to get across. And it's just, expressing yourself, I think, is a massive part of any game at the moment. If you look at Commander from Magic the Gathering, why is that so popular? Because you have to build a deck based on a character that you identify with. And it's similar vibe to Flesh and Blood. That's the reason I got into it, is because you choose a character, a fantasy class, massive RPG and like Diablo fan and all that sort of stuff going back. But you choose a class and you identify with that class. And I think the restrictions of that is a lot of fun. That's my sort of take on that.
And you do a good job. And one of the best and funnest things that we did the Everfest sort of review together.
Oh yeah.
That, unfortunately, I had to dip out early because I didn't expect it to go to like 4 or 5 hours of what it was.
No, I didn't either.
I will say this though, fun. There was certainly a lot of fun, and that's what I'm really, what I appreciate about it is that there's as much as there are people who are out there looking to consume, content that is meant to sort of improve their gameplay. There's an equal amount, if not more, of people who are just out there to find recreation in what they're watching.
Exactly, yeah.
And you do that so well, and that is something that I have to, I have to just pump the tires on a little extra here because, and you know this very well, as I do, as many others out there who are trying to cut their teeth in the content creation world, is that finding your space is difficult. Finding your identity is difficult. Did you kind of have trouble when you were looking to dip your toe into this field or into this genre of in Flesh and Blood content creation? Was there ever a thought in your mind where you're like, maybe we should change the mission here, maybe we should come at a different angle? Or were you always just dead set on saying, no, I'm doing fun stuff, I'm doing really, it's a stretch to say wholesome, but true to people's, the enjoyment that they'll get out of this?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I first started, I was literally just pumping out all sorts of different videos. I didn't have any goal in mind whatsoever. And this is the same with anyone that's starting content creation, is you have to be passionate about what you're speaking about. But I mean, as time goes on, as you know what your identity is, and content creation is really an inward journey into yourself and finding out what you're passionate about, what you're speaking about, and what you're good at speaking about, and what your sort of your calling is to the game. For me, it was very much always fun, stupid decks, and just having fun with the game that you're playing and the theme and the flavor. And a lot of us look at games as ways to escape the world that we're in. And some people don't want to have the added stress of having to win all the time, and escaping with games, I think, is a massive part of it as well.
It definitely is, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just especially a game like Flesh and Blood, like you mentioned, Commander, and there is something that's kind of similar. You mentioned Ultimate Pit Fight. Yeah. And this is something that you've been a very kind of like the spearhead on in terms of creating content for it and very much promoting Ultimate Pit Fight. I've never played an Ultimate Pit Fight, but I've played a hell of a lot of Commander in my life. I think it's incredibly enjoyable. And I like what you're talking about, the fact that you choose a hero, whereas in Magic you choose a commander, but you're choosing a hero that identifies with your playstyle, the kind of the combat ideology of what they're bringing to the table, the style of play. Is it control? Is it aggro? Like, what is it trying to do? Is it combo? That said, is Ultimate Pit Fight lacking anything? You've put a lot more hours into this than I ever have or ever will, most likely, but is Ultimate Pit Fight in its current iteration correct? Where is it lacking, and where does it get things correct?
I mean, Ultimate Pit Fight is, I think, to begin with, LSS just put Ultimate Pit Fight on their website as a way of saying, right, you can play this multiplayer, but there's no structure. We're leaving it to the community to deal with. And it's only until recently in Fab 2.0 where we had a structure released for this and a sort of rejig of the actual format itself. So there's going to be lots of ways it can improve in the future, but I think ultimately it is very much branded, and even on the website it says feel free to change these rules as you see fit, as you see what is most appropriate for your play group. And I think that is great, because obviously it is very much honing into the fact that you can just have fun with this game. You can build whatever decks you like. The next episode that I'm editing at the moment is just absolutely ridiculous. You would never see anything like it in a meta game. It's just absolutely stupid. You have the opportunity to play with cards you'd never play with before and have these interactions that you'd never have before, and you're playing a game that obviously you're identifying with the character and stuff. So improvements, I think I can't identify them right now because I'm having so much fun with it. It's hard to really nitpick it because I don't think it's meant to be, and Commander, again, with Magic the Gathering, was never meant to be a balanced format. It was just meant to be a social gathering between friends that are just chucking some cards around. So I don't think it can. Probably it can improve. I don't know where, but I think the sort of thesis of it is just having fun with friends, and that's the main aim that you should have with these multiplayer formats, I think.
All right, I'm not letting you off the hook just yet, but I'll give you a few more minutes to think about it, because you've got to have somewhere along the lines where you've been playing and something's crossed your mind and said, well, this could be a little bit better. Now, I'll give you a couple minutes to sort of maybe meditate on that a little bit as we're talking about it, but Ultimate Pit Fight versus Commander, I mean, it's this very similarity in terms of the structure of how it's played. Multiplayer, everybody's kind of FFA, it's free for all in there, you just go nuts. But the overall popularity of Commander, I don't want to say has exploded. It's been very popular for a while, but it seems to be picking up more steam lately. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the Magic scene, but Commander and at all these events like Magic Fests and whatever, Commander tables sell out very quickly. I feel like they've been incredibly popular from the consumption aspect. I know that a very good friend of mine, Alias V, is part of a team that does a weekly, I believe, video series called something hijinks. She's gonna kill me because she helps edit these videos. She's a wonderful human being, as always. And if she's editing this, she can go ahead and put the title in the subtitle beneath my face here, and so that. Nonetheless,
there it is. If it is there,
there it is exactly. But the popularity of just consuming this kind of content and participating has exploded. And I'm wondering for yourself, who has been always very, attracted and had a lot of appeal towards this kind of format, can you explain a little bit why maybe specifically something like Magic, why the popularity of it has risen, and where you foresee Ultimate Pit Fight in terms of popular formats? Like, what is it? What's missing for it to sort of catch on and catch fire the way that EDH has?
Yeah, so it's a tough one because EDH was always meant to be a social format. I think the thing that Magic has over Flesh and Blood at the moment is the sheer size of the card pool. Flesh and Blood just doesn't have the same history that Magic has at the moment. You know, Commander picked up maybe 8 years ago, and even at that stage we had 20 years worth of cards that people can just delve into and make ridiculous decks with for ages and ages. At the moment we still have very limited card pools and stuff, so maybe that's a hindrance to it right now, but I think that will just evolve over time with more and more ideas, more and more decks that people want to make. I think that's limiting it at the moment as well. Yeah, I think that's one of the main things. But yeah, there's also, like, we've had discussions in the community about Ultimate Pitfight, about attacking people left and right. Because at the moment in, like, Commander games, you can attack anyone at any time, which obviously opens up the politicking. Is, you know, at the moment in Ultimate Pitfight, you can only attack the person to your left or the person to your right. But I mean, mechanically, that would mean that then all three of your opponents could gang up on you, and you wouldn't really have much of a chance. So maybe changing these rules here and there. But again, I think with Ultimate Pitfight, the way they're branding it at the moment is content creators, community, have as much fun as this with this as you can. Change the rules as you see fit, and I think they're allowing us to figure it out for ourselves at the moment. But yeah, that's what I'd say on that.
It's quite a cheeky approach, right? Where they're like, all right, here's a basic idea. You guys figure it out, and we'll write notes down. And if we see something we like, we'll publish it as gospel to a degree.
I said this the other day, actually. I said in a little Twitter Spaces chat I was in the other day that that's what they've done. In Fab 2.0, they've said, right, here's the deck rules for UPF now. It's now Blitz rather than CC. It was a bit of a weird conjuration of things before, but now it's Blitz decks basically. So you can play with your normal Blitz deck in Ultimate Pitfight, and they've also outlined the rules for Commoner in Fab 2.0, as we've probably all read by now. But what I see that as is they've put that on a page. They've given us all the stuff that we need as content creators or as new content creators out there that might want to jump into this sphere still early on. Is go wild with this. We've given you the tools to now do what you want to do, and we'll see where it goes from here. Because again, EDH was very much a fan-made format until everybody started playing it for whatever reason. And I think, again, a lot of reason why people are playing it is the identification factor. It's identifying with a certain hero or deck or what have you. But I think Fab has had that from the start, which is why it's a lot different.
I don't know how to feel sometimes when it comes down to it, where, you know, like LSS has done a pretty good job in terms of just kind of keeping the beast at bay as it's kind of shot out of the gate. The amount of popularity and the success at sort of rocket ship speed that Flesh and Blood has seen, you know, you kind of get to it. You can kind of maybe surmise based on some of what's happened. Like you mentioned, the fact that there was no set rules until they were developed by the community. How do you feel about LSS in terms of having this approach where perhaps there's a situation where maybe they're just not prepared for the amount of different formats everybody kind of desired and created or were clamoring for, similar, you know, Pauper / Commoner, EDH / Ultimate Pitfight. Do you feel like maybe like LSS, I don't want to say bit off more than they can chew, but the approach that they're taking here, where maybe they're just not equipped right now to settle all of these things and sit down and really put pen to paper to formalize these things, does that give you a little bit more confidence that they're giving the community a little bit more of the reign here in terms of determining the trajectory of these formats? Or do you wish that maybe LSS was just more proactive and say, no, this is the format, these are the rules, adhere to them?
Yeah. I mean that they've done everything right, haven't they? With regards to picking up what, you know, the organised play that other companies have left on the floor, they've done everything right in that scene. In the competitive scene, everything is ridiculously good right now with regards to that. So with regards to the other formats, I think they are working on it in the background, but I think they are open to just seeing what can be done in this space, and the people that want to pick this up for content creation purposes, what can they do in this space? What can they share? What can they bring to the table? And again, I think it's about all of us as players want to have different experiences with this game. We all know how awesome the mechanics are. We all know how sweet the lore is behind all of this, and the fact that they are making a conscious effort to put that into new products like Classic Battles, Rhinar versus Dorinthia, all of this. They're building up these stories, and I think as players, we all want to experience a game differently. So it's about finding the players that want to do that instead. And I think there is a lot of us that do want to play the game like that way. So yeah, the announcement has been very, very good, and obviously they had a whole part. I did a video on this, a whole part that was tailored to playing the game is more than competitive play, and that statement was just like lovely old job. That was great. So yeah, I do like the direction they're going in. I think they're leaving it to us a little bit to make stuff,
right?
But yeah, I think that's a good thing for more personalities and more lovely people to come into the game. Really.
Yeah, some people just are kind of like, all right, they just want a hands-off approach and know that there's somebody with a firm grip at the wheel, so to speak. But at the same time, it's always good if we're the ones essentially that are existing in this space. So, stopping and asking us for directions is given that we live here. That's kind of to me a more responsible approach to a degree. Now, obviously, I'm not saying LSS has to consult the creation or the content creator community to be like, all right, where should we go with this? But at the same time, having your ear to the ground to understand where, which way the footsteps are going, like that's to a degree and a very responsible approach in itself to understand the climate, to see which way the wind's blowing, so whether to put the sails up or just go adrift. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So here's the thing, because you mentioned earlier that you kind of had an idea of where Ultimate Pit Fight could improve. I gave you a little bit of time here, so hit us with like dead center, right in the bullseye. Even if it's minor, there's got to be a level of improvement somewhere.
A level of improvement for a social game. That's the thing, isn't it?
Even if it's something like you have to ante up with like a bag of chips or something like that, just so nobody. Or
well, so there's some stakes on the table. You need to have some sort of stake.
Crisps, I believe you call them. Is that correct?
Crisps, yeah. Was it chips over there? Is it?
Well, chips, yeah.
I have a bag of chips. So I have a bag of chips.
Yeah, but what are they? So is it a bag of crisps, or you just call it like a sack of crisps, or what do you?
Sack of crisps.
Yeah,
that sounds lovely.
I don't listen.
I'll have a sack of crisps, please.
I have a friend from the UK by the name of she goes by Ash Explores. She was Ash Cosplay long ago. I went to London and I visited her for a day. And she taught me so much about, the vernacular. I didn't know that a sweater was called a jumper.
A jumper?
Yeah, because she said, hey, nice jumper. I said, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, I love it. I love the cultural differences. It's fantastic.
Well, we're all her loyal subjects to the Queen to a certain degree. I mean, your Queen is on my money. Like, what the hell? Get out of there.
Oh, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah.
So one thing that you gotta maybe sort of dial from a 9 to a 10 or to that degree.
Oh man, you're putting the pressure on me now. I don't know. I just don't know.
I just don't want you to come off as like someone accusing you of being like, oh, it's Ash from Go Again Gaming. Nothing LSS does could go wrong. He's such a shill. I get that all the time. Trust me. Yeah. Oh my God. No matter what happens, if there's one day where things are all okay and people are like, hey, great job on this interview, and then suddenly like something like another entity out there does something that people don't agree with, and I have at one point in my life collaborated with that entity or were hired by that entity, suddenly I'm a gigantic shill and I'm a piece of garbage. So the winds change quickly, my friend. So I'm giving you plausible deniability by picking out one thing here.
One thing to make Ultimate Pit Fight better or to improve.
I mean, you even said like it went from Blitz deck or from CC heroes to Blitz heroes. Like, would you even want to revert back? Like, is that even something that you think would be an improvement?
Yes, maybe. Yes. I mean, thanks for spoon feeding me these ideas here.
That's what I do.
Yeah. But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So there has been discussions about the fact that going back to the EDH comparison. Now, with Ultimate Pit Fight, with the rules that they've laid out, the decks have become smaller. You're going to have 2 OVs in each deck rather than 3 OVs. And, me, Red Zone Rogue, DM Armada, and Bill from Spiked Feeders, obviously the guys that are involved in the series, have discussed, what do we do now? Do we do what we want to do, or do we just do what the rules say? Because we were having fun with the last sort of bigger decks, bigger variants. And I think if they do want to hit on that same commander boat, because at the moment it's I think one of the questions says this later on, but once someone asks about whether it should be singleton, like EDH is one card, so maybe looking at things like that. But yeah, the experiences that I've had so far have all been with the old rules. So we are sleeving up decks with the new rules. So maybe I can come back to you on that still.
Deal. I like that. That also plants the seed for a return visit, which you absolutely will be doing. So, all right.
Cheers, mate.
Oh, of course. Listen, this is one of the problems, again, of doing like a weekly main show, is at the beginning, it's a struggle to find people because you're basically just starting out, and people are like, "Who the hell are you? What the hell is Gwent? We don't care."
Then you start rolling, and then you just get everyone all the time. That's lovely.
Well, it's a good problem to have, and
yes,
and trust me, on weeks where LSS is dumping a whole lot of sweet little nuggets, like here's a historic pack, here's the bans list, here's Uprising, leaks and such like that. There's not enough show to withhold all of that information, but on certain weeks where there's really kind of nothing going on, you're like, all right, let's just get somebody who I know that I have a good rapport with on here to just shoot the breeze.
I mean, exactly, shoot the breeze, exactly that. And that's what you have to do as well. If there's news coming up, and you got someone who's better equipped to deal with that news, then get them on. But if you just want to have a lovely old time, invite me on again.
And this is 100%. I'm trying. What I want to try to do is get kind of, to a degree, like I've in the past I've done kind of like a debate show where it used to be called the coin flip, because in Gwent there's a coin flip that occurs at the beginning of the game, and basically it was two people. I was basically the moderating body of that debate, where I would basically create a statement, and I would have one person argue for it and one person argue against it, but they didn't know what side they were on until I flipped the coin and told them what side they were.
Wow.
So, like, for instance, I would make a statement saying Starvo is perfectly balanced, and then I would flip a coin to the person on the left and say, you are for this statement, and the person on the other side would be, you are against it, create your arguments, and let's go. And then I would basically, I'd crown a winner of the topics or the debate. But I thought it was a good idea, and I think that you'd be ideal for this.
Because Az loves conflict.
Well, you navigated beautifully, my friend.
Navigated beautifully, yeah. That's all right then.
Well, listen, like, whenever it comes down to it, I don't want to call them time wasting episodes, because it's never time wasted when you're amongst friends, but definitely a breeze shooting, I guess, exercise, we'll call it. So Uprising. Uprising is what I want to talk about really briefly here. I just recorded yesterday. I recorded an episode with Tommy Fresh, which I believe is going to
lovely guy.
Isn't he just the best? Listen,
I've seen the rapport that you guys have as well, and I'm just like, I need to get over to that and just give you guys a hug.
Well, listen.
Eventually.
Tommy and I are just two subjects of the British Empire that have gone awry. So we need you here to kind of keep us in line. But I think that this would be a trifecta move that would be fascinating to me, because I think that we're all like, this is what breaks my heart about the internet, is that we are all so intimately connected through it and accessible, yet we're so far away that if I wanted to reach out there and give you a big hug, I can't.
Yeah.
It hurts, but so this should be published on Thursday. It's currently May 3rd, so this is Tuesday, May 3rd. It should be published on the Thursday. So on Wednesday, which is technically, if you're listening to this on published day, is yesterday, Tommy and I had a discussion about who or what we believe is the fourth hero, if any, from Uprising, and we went through a bunch of the chats. The Twitter versus theories about it. But I wanted to hear Az's theory. I want you to flesh this out for me. I have my own. People out there have their own. First, is there a fourth hero? And second, what do you feel that fourth hero would be?
So the skeptical in me, first of all, would suggest that there is no fourth hero, because of the fact that the product sheet said that there's 3 named heroes on the product sheet. So it doesn't mention a fourth one. So I don't think there will be, but if there was a fourth hero, for me it makes sense to have another ice hero, because they're going to be 2 draconics. You've got the ninja draconic and the dragon lady.
Khaleesi.
Khaleesi, yeah, breaker of chains, bound by shadow, hopefully. But yeah, I think some sort of other ice character would be awesome. And Volkor's theme is warring factions, so maybe an ice warrior would be fantastic. A fantastic mix of aggro and sort of taxation effects with frostbite counters. I think would be an interesting mix. It's like this typical warrior where you don't know where to block. But you're not taking as much damage. But if you do take damage, you have to deal with a frostbite token, which screws up your next turn. So maybe something like an icy warrior would be cool. But ultimately, I don't think we are going to get it, unfortunately. But what do you think?
Well, I'm going through a lot of the fans, or I call them fans. Calling them fans makes it seem like
I'm a fan, so yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Well, I don't want to make any assumptions because people could just honestly just be commenting and just for the sake of commenting. I don't know if they're fans. Well, but
that's what happens.
Friends. We call them friends. That said,
friends.
Some of the theories that have been thrown my way were quite intriguing. One of which, again, if you're out there listening to this, you can check out that video. I believe it was published yesterday. But one of the more intriguing ones was Yuki Lee Bender, the Canadian national champion. They basically parsed out a very interesting kind of deep dive, like sleuthing out, okay, there's this many cards. These are the 3 heroes that we have already. This is where the hero number is on the card, or where these cards. So just and like comparing it to previous sets, and like, okay, this hero was at this number, which is different than this, which suggests that there's more cards for this hero, which means that there's less space for a 4th hero. So there's a lot of that, and I think that was, to me, the most intriguing argument, also probably the most poignant argument, based on there was actual data supporting it and the correlation,
actual metrics.
That's it. There was evidence. There was Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, and that to me was the most intriguing case. There was a lot of people who were kind of spitballing what they wanted to see, but not necessarily backing it up with any tangible evidence. But Yuki's...
So basically what I just did there.
Oh, definitely.
I was like, Ice Warrior.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly fine. Listen, if I were to put my chips into one of these baskets, it would definitely not be yours. I would certainly... I would hang around your basket, but I would not. Yeah, I wouldn't punch my ticket.
Any chips in there?
Absolutely not. No, but I'd be like, hey, check this out. This is definitely. It's like window shopping at the As Theory Cafe. Like, no thanks.
Yeah, exactly. No thanks. But if it comes in, all for it. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm next to the basket. Like, that might as well be there. But there was also, I think Red Zone Rogue had the next most intriguing was Ice Assassin, and the reason why he's leaning towards Ice Assassin, your arguments for Ice make sense, that it should be balanced to that degree. The only thing that kind of turns me off of it is the fact that we have so much Ice already that it seems like it's overkill, but we said that about Runeblade. We have so much Runeblade already. But
Ice Runeblade then.
Just wait, it's going to happen. That would be the ultimate kind of rug pull over there, is be like, okay.
Eventually.
Ice Assassin, because assassination is part of the lore of the Uprising sort of lore drop that they hit us with for Volkor, that there's assassinations aplenty, like they're falling out of the sky, like it's a plague. Like,
that makes sense.
Volkor COVID is assassinations. So that to me is also something that I would put stock into while I'm next.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea, yeah. And I know Kel is all for assassin, so if he can sneak his theory in there, he's like, yeah, get assassin in there straight away. But definitely.
To me, those are the two. I mean, like when you're doing the there was somebody who actually back in February made a prediction on Twitter saying it was going to be Illusionist, Ninja, and Ice, or Icelander.
Yeah, I remember seeing that actually. Yeah, that was spot on, wasn't it?
It was spot on, and so there's. But listen, I'm not to take anything away from that bold prediction because the prediction was good. But I think that if you were going to say Illusionist and Ninja, I don't think that that's too far-fetched, given the fact that in terms of adult heroes, those are 2 of the 3 that only have a solo option, right? Mechanologist being the other. I don't think...
that's true, yeah.
So if you're looking to flesh out the less robust classes, those would be the ones that you would put. Now, Ice Wizard is the other one where I'm like, oh, damn, good for you. Like, that's not bad. So, gotta say. Yeah. But fascinating in general. Any last thoughts necessarily about Uprising, what you would love to see within Uprising apart from your Ice Warrior idea?
that far-fetched idea. Yeah, let's stop about that. But yeah, I love the design space that they're dipping into now. You know, this time last year was when I pretty much got into the game. Just before Monarch is when I got into it, and there was these massive demon allies in Blasphemet and Ursa. And now, you know, a year later, we're getting these, I can't remember what it's called, but the dragon that was spoiled on the art, we're getting a dragon, and we're going to have 3 other dragons as well by looking at the art for the Uprising thingies, the pre-releases. So yeah, just seeing massive allies being brought back into it, I think, as a design space. I think it's going to be fleshed out more as PvE and stuff comes into it, because we're going to need more tokens on the board for establishing board state. And I think establishing board state is I know Prism wants to do it, obviously, but I think there's going to be more. Well, obviously, she's an illusionist, of course, with the dragon lady. Can't remember her name. But yeah, establishing board state, I think, is going to be more of a game style that sort of starts to trickle in now. Because at the moment, it's just I deal damage to you, you deal damage to me, and very much a race. Whereas I think we need more of these sort of build your board state type decks where the opponent has to make a decision where they have to attack your face or your value on your board state, which I think could make games more interesting going forward. So I think they are starting to dip their toes into that with these dragon allies and whatever Phi, the draconic ninja, wants to conjure, which I think is a phoenix on the art, and people have been speculating phoenix or ash tokens or something I remember seeing. Yeah. So yeah, it looks good.
So there's Dromai. Dromai is the draconic illusionist, if I'm not mistaken. And then the current revealed dinosaur dragon. Somebody's gonna send me hate mail.
It's a dinosaur with wings.
Yeah, exactly. You dino racist, like you're an anti-dinite. Like
dun, 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 dun. Anyway,
did you see the latest trailer for the new Jurassic World movie?
I haven't. No, I need to watch it.
All right. Do you want a really quick kind of roundup of it? It's basically everybody that has ever been in a Jurassic Park movie ever doing this, doing like whoa, like trying to do the arms like dinosaur
like
move.
the Chris Pratt thing when he's like this with the Velociraptors. Oh yeah. No!
And doing that to freaking everything. That is basically 80% of the trailer is just people...
Jeff Goldblum in it.
Yes, he is. Absolutely.
Is he? Wow.
Yeah, and you best believe that his paycheck finds a way, because it's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Alan Grant is in it. The other doctor,
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill's in it.
Yeah.
The other, I forgot her name. She was in the original one.
Blonde lady.
I forgot her name, and I
can't remember her name either.
She's in it. I don't know who else is in it, but. Again,
so basically, they're basically making a Jurassic World cinematic universe.
Well, yeah, but this apparently is the end of it. And look, I know this is a complete tangent, but this definitely is going to get a little bit of my ire here, because I want your opinion on this. I feel like Jurassic Park as a concept is a movie franchise that, with any logic thrown out the window, even after people become completely stupid, should never have been more than 2 movies based on logic.
Absolutely, yeah.
The first movie, great. Yeah. You played God. It's an amazing... allegory of playing God and the consequences of doing so. The second one is people who are like, okay, we saw how they messed this up. We can do this better. We can do this properly. We can make a bajillion dollars. So they do that. Everything after that should not have happened, because nothing else makes sense from a logic perspective. Let's reopen the park. Let's bring more dinosaurs back to...
No. Yeah, doesn't make sense, does it? Doesn't make sense at all.
It doesn't.
I loved those first 2 films, Lost World and obviously the original one. They were awesome, but since then I didn't really care for them after that. I know we're on a massive tangent, but it's fantastic. This is what it's all about most of the time. But yeah.
Oh, I'll go on tangents aplenty, my friend. That's what we do on this show. Just ahead of getting to the Go Again segment, Mr. Az from Go Again Gaming.
That's good, isn't it? That's a good one, that. I made my channel just because of your segment. I was like, I'm going to call it this just so I can get onto the segment, even though the segment didn't exist then. But there we are.
But here it is. Exactly. I know. You see, that's called playing the long game, planting those seeds early, cultivating this presence here as you are now. You smart. You smart Sly
I'm a
Fox.
weasel, and I'm
Yeah,
a weasel.
you got here. That's got to say something.
Exactly.
The last thing I want to touch on, because I think you made a great point, is the fact that you're talking about the trajectory of the game and developing more of a board state style game.
Yes.
That is a fascinating part, because for now, the only hero really that can do that, I would argue perhaps like Dash can do it with putting a lot of different items on the board, and the other would be Prism, by having a very robust aura build. You're creating, to borrow a term from Magic, you're creating a lot of permanents on the board that are threats.
Yeah.
And is this something that you feel Flesh and Blood should further investigate and further develop? Is more of a, and how close can you get to that becoming something along the lines of establishing like creatures like Magic or Hearthstone or whatever, having those types of creatures on the board? How close to the sun can you fly before you singe those wings and become something like Magic or Hearthstone?
Yeah, that's the issue that they have to tackle, is like, the beings and the entities that these characters are summoning need to be difficult to do. But yeah, I mean, when you get into the realm of summoning creatures and stuff, and we do have a necromancer in the rulebook, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do their sort of thing with summoning, skeletons and zombies and what have you. But I do think it's a space that needs to be explored, because at the moment it's very much still just numbers on numbers. But when you throw that into the equation and say, right, I need to make a decision now, do I attack the person's face, or do I attack the thing that is accruing them value over the course of how many turns? I think that really does spice it up a bit, and I'm all for spicing the game up a bit, because I'm rubbish at numbers, and I think if I can establish some sort of distraction tactic, I may be able to win some games.
I appreciate that. I just appreciate the fact that you used the term rubbish, and I love it, because again,
it was garbage over there, isn't it? Garbage or something.
We need to have just a segment of Az teaches English. I love it, because.
Or I could just have a segment where I just switch to like US or American accent, or like this.
Yeah.
And we just speak like this for as long as I need.
Wow, you are definitely, you're straight out of Vermont, are you?
Yeah, I don't know where. Vermont. Where even is Vermont?
Vermont is in the northeast corner of the United States. I believe it borders on Canada as well, if I'm not mistaken. But it's basically, it's like Canada, like Vermont and Minnesota are essentially like two Canadian adopted states, because they're basically Canada, as it were.
Yeah, nice little geography lesson in this podcast as well. Lovely old job.
There you go. And Minnesota is more of the sort of in the central part, like on the Canadian border, and Vermont's northeast. So listen. I took many years of American history, because Canadian history was boring to all hell. In reality, if you're taking Canadian history, there's two answers to most questions, and number one is either if it occurred after the year 2000, the answer to your question is probably Sidney Crosby, and if it happened prior to the year 2000, the answer is probably the fur trade. So those are the two. That'll get you through Canadian History 101, 100%.
Nice.
All right. We've got a BCW product review, and then we're going to get to the Go Again segment, which is aptly named for our current guest, Mr. Az from Go Again Gaming. Will you join us? You have to. You're basically the namesake.
Of course I will, yeah. Let's go.
Attaboy. All right, we'll be right back with Go Again right after this BCW product review. As always, ladies and gentlemen, this episode of the Instant Speed Podcast is brought to you by BCW Supplies. You can go to bcwsupplies.com. Use the code ISP10. Get 10% off your first order, your second order, all of your orders of the great BCW supplies, be it sleeves, be it deck boxes, storage. Hey, maybe you're a coin collector, you like records, vinyls. You can go ahead and get some of those awesome protective pieces as well for your comics. I know you can see behind me tons of comic books that I like to protect as well. There's so much that you can get at bcwsupplies.com. So use the code ISP10 for your order. Get 10% off. Support the podcast here and get some of that great BCW supplies. Again, that's bcwsupplies.com with the code ISP10. 10% off your order at BCW. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to go again on a series of rapid-fire questions on Mr. Az from Go Again Gaming. We've got some lined up for you from the community. Now, this is named Go Again, which is basically a complete and utter ripoff of your brand. So you will receive exactly 0 royalties for this. I'm sorry.
That's fine, no problem.
But you did get an invite, and that's what
That's what matters. Yeah, I'm
we're
here today
we're
in the flesh and
overjoyed
blood.
about. So how about, you know what? This is Go Again, and you are as of Go Again. So why don't you introduce the segment? Let's do it that way.
So this is a segment that Flake's put on the end here to just fire some random questions at the participant of the particular show. In this case, me, from the aforementioned Go Again segment from Go Again Gaming. So I hope to do it justice, Mr. Flake. Yeah,
I expect nothing less. Again, when I brought you on the show, I was like, this is going to be fun in the sun. Absolutely. Fun on a bun. All right. The first question from Mr. Breezy, who's a solid coffee hookup. If you're looking for coffee,
absolutely,
yes, you reach out to Breezy and you say, "Listen, I want to buy some coffee from you," and tell him Flake sent you, and maybe he'll throw in a shirt or something. But
nice.
Question is there an official organized cult designated to the Azalea, and what times do we meet each week? In all seriousness, though, what needs to happen in order to make Azalea a contender in the current state of the game? That's for you, my friend.
Cool. So I will start by saying there is a secret Azalea Discord.
There is.
No. So yeah, there's a place where all of us sort of Azalea fans sort of go into to play each other. We can only bring Azalea, so it's Azalea mirror matches all day, every day.
Go on.
That's all I got. But yeah, in all seriousness, with regards to Azalea, Breezy, I know you're a massive fan. I made an entire video about this, actually, just going into what LSS could do to make Ranger a better place to be, and exploring ideas that could be useful for the sort of whole Ranger / Assassin type. I know Assassin's going to be a class in the future, but I think like Azalea, as she is now, she feels like a contract killer assassin in the depths of the pits, sort of thing. So I designed a lot of cards with that in mind, and one that was a consistent for me was the fact that she is she's a contract killer. She's a marks lady. She can shoot anybody in the face and kill them, basically. And I think one of the ideas that I thought would be good would be getting through the opponent's armor, because it's always a sad matchup when you're Azalea and you play against a shadow hero that has Carrion Husk that blocks for 6. That's just one of your arrows. They just say no to one of your arrows, and you need your things to hit in Azalea decks, because the on-hit effects are absolutely disgusting. Like Red in the Ledger, probably one of my favorite cards out there, which just says the opponent can only play one action next turn if it hits. It's ridiculous. I think it's an aggro killer. It just needs to be more consistent on getting that damage through. And if you're dominating arrows with Azalea, if they're chucking a 6-block Carrion Husk in front of it, it's just a waste of an entire turn. And she needs to have more tools that say, you can't block with this or you can't block with that. Because I think it's thematic. If you look at Lord of the Rings, that famous scene where the orc is running towards the wall of Helm's Deep and Aragorn saying, take him down, take him down. Legolas is shooting at the gaps in the armor of the orc. And I think that's what Azalea needs to have access to. It's a shame, because ultimately Helm's Deep is breached, and all hope is lost. But never mind. But yeah, I think that's what she needs. Something like that.
I'm glad you brought that up. As a Lord of the Rings super fan, it'll never supplant Star Wars for me. However, Lord of the Rings and I have a very intimate relationship, of which I adore it, and I think that it is a look. I believe, and I will go to my grave unless something supplants this. Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, the cinematic trilogy, is probably, in my opinion, the greatest cinematic achievement of all time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just in terms of scope, in terms of beauty, acting, not just the presentation, but just what it took to make that and to present it during the time that it was made. I think it is the greatest cinematic achievement of all time. That, not saying it's the greatest movie of all time. I'm saying it is the greatest achievement. All right.
For what it did in its era, yes,
certainly,
I agree.
Certainly. But the fact that Legolas couldn't shoot the guy between the eyes, but got him right in the armpit, like, Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
And like
that's what Azalea needs to do.
Yeah, and you see Aragorn being like looks at him like, mofo, in the face, get him in the face. Yeah, and the guy's just shrugging it off like, I gotta go. That guy had so much Red Bull that morning.
He did, yeah.
Oh.
He was on it, wasn't he?
The other funny part about it is I've always imagined sort of like an alternate take where our Aragorn turns to Legolas and says, "Legolas, what do your elf eyes see?" And Legolas just looks at him and says, "That's racist, man." Do they have to be elf eyes? Like, couldn't you just say
eyes now?
Yeah, get it. Awesome. Yeah. I hear you. Perfect. Yeah, thanks. Racist. All right. Next question from Fabled Academy. What is the British community like? Is there anything you wish for in the future to grow your national community?
So the British community is awesome, and it's grown massively as well since I started. Like the sort of Facebook page for Flesh and Blood UK when I started was like at 300 members like last year. And it's now at like 1,100. So the growth of the British community has been fantastic. And a shout out to all of the creators out there that are doing good jobs, like Steelfer, who casted Krakow, Push the Point, another podcast, which is great. Findor's Library for lore stuff. But yeah, it's just fantastic. They're the guys that you want to listen to from the UK if you're in with the meta and you want to look at the strategic plays. Go to Steelfer. They are the guys to sort of guide you through the strategic part of the game for UK stuff. So yeah, definitely go check them out. But yeah, British community is awesome, and those guys are awesome as well. So I just want to shout them out.
Something that you'd want to wish to sort of grow that community. Is there anything that you think that would sort of really be a catalyst to just further growth for that community? I mean, the easy answer here, I'm not trying to, again, spoon feed you answers, but like...
That's fine, yeah, just go for it.
For example, something that really, years ago, for instance, again, I always go back to it because I've have such a history with it, but in Gwent, Gwent is a very European game. The vast majority of the high-level play is European. There's a very small, tight-knit North American community, but many years ago, in order to sort of kick that community in the pants, we created a tournament, like a LAN tournament series with a cash prize and a trophy, and that kind of really kickstarted the interest in it. Not to the degree that it really exploded, but ultimately it lit a fire under the North American community. Do you feel like maybe a big event, something local, even from a casual get together? What if there was like a Go Again Gaming presents Ultimate Pit Fight Championship or something along those lines? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that because I'm not sure whether you have seen the tournaments that I host on Discord. But yeah, I basically stream the tournament all day, and it's like people from all over the globe coming in and playing Discord games. So yeah, maybe it is down to growing the community. I think is down to individuals to sort of establish these communities in the areas where there's not much games going on, and it is just getting the boots on the ground to play games in those places that might not have the interest. So it is a hard grind. It's like my area, for instance. In my area where I'm based, there isn't anything at all, and I don't drive currently, so I need to sort of get to these places that do it. So again, maybe I should learn a lesson there and just try and build something up in my local area, because around the UK it's hit and miss with regards to what's going on. So yeah, maybe I need to do that.
Wonderful. From Mr. Tommy Fresh of the Fresh and Buds podcast, another excellent podcast if you'd like to check one out.
Absolutely, yeah.
What is the one thing you would like to see added to Flesh and Blood? And again, it's a broad stroke here because it could be anything. It could be a class, a hero, in my opinion, honestly, I'm not smart enough to make these kinds of prognostications or really, to me, one of the best things that have occurred, in my opinion, is the fact that they changed the wrapping to paper. And from a satisfaction perspective of tearing it open to a sustainability, like that to me, I think is something that as I grew older and wiser, I felt like sitting at a table at an event and seeing just the amount of waste that gets tossed in the trash. It kind of eventually kind of pokes you the wrong way. So to me, I think that would be something that I like off the board from a gameplay perspective, from a distribution perspective. What do you think this game could use like right now?
So I think we're starting to see this already, and that's female representation of the game. Melody, for instance, who's just made a massive splash in the community, Melody Likes on Twitter, is already appeared on sort of Fresh and Buds podcast. So we're speaking about Tommy.
She's scheduled to be on this show as well. So
there we go. Heard it here first. Nice. Good job. But yeah, I think that's it's like with Magic. There's so many different sort of diverse characters in the game. So the more we can sort of cater to these different characters and people, I think that's going to grow the game exponentially in comparison to, in tandem with the roots that they've laid for. Suggesting that the game is more than competitive play, I think it's going to also attract more of those sort of characters that might just want to have fun and express themselves, rather than just guys that just want to take home gold foils. I think there's going to be a massive insurgence of those sort of characters coming in, which I think would be fantastic for the game. But more Azalea support would be nice as well.
I've in my various sort of travels and different tournaments, etc. I have played amongst and against incredible amounts of female representation. There's a lot of women out there who I've played against, who have beaten me, who I have beaten. I've had incredible amounts of great conversations and dialogue with.
Nice.
It's weird to say, they're out there. Like, it's not like we're swimming in the Amazon and there's piranhas swimming around. That's not what it is. But
No.
but I agree, and it's great to see when I'm out there, and I want to see a woman win a calling. I want to see and they are it's incredibly difficult to win, let alone a pro tour a pro quest, but a calling in general. But damn it, there are people out there who are poised to get into that top 8 and sort of rattle the cage, and I am all for waiting for that to happen. And
absolutely, yeah, exactly. And that's I think it's a great thing. We just need to again, like you're going to shine a light on these individuals. So I think that's the thing that needs to happen the most.
Definitely, and again, people like you and I who are giving more spotlight to these deserving people, I think is also an important element.
Definitely, mate. Yeah.
DGTCG is asking you, and this is some quite some high praise there for you. As it says, as a champion of community and casual play, what do you think LSS needs to do to help grow Fab? And I think we touched upon this a little bit. We can probably kind of paint this from the perspective of more of a casual approach, not necessarily fleshing out a competitive scene, but you yourself as the you're a community, an icon amongst the community. You host and really help develop this kind of content. What does LSS need to do to help grow that aspect of the game?
I think they're starting to do these things. They're starting to do it, and I think another thing that's going to be paramount to this is products like the Classic Battles product. So things that couples, families, people that want to play the game but don't want to buy booster packs, they can buy a product off of the shelf and they can play on the kitchen table. I think that is a very good move, and obviously we've seen products like this in Magic the Gathering with like dual decks. So if you're out and about with your mate and you're popping into a local game store, you want to play Flesh and Blood, you see a product on there that has 2 decks in it, which you can just grab off the shelf and play. Lovely old job. You're playing Flesh and Blood. Then you can think, oh, okay, I want to get more into this. I want to look on the internet. I want to go onto fabdb.net and have a look at the cards and the stuff that will make me a good deck. How do I upgrade? Well, it just blossoms from there. I think more products like that is one of the best ways to do it, I think. So yeah, they're touching on that already.
Did you know that fabdb.net is your premier source for deck building tools, collection management, and simulated booster drafting? Did you know that?
I did know that, yeah. Yeah, I think I've heard it mentioned a few times, which is good.
Kirk from FabDB does incredible work. He was an army of one, I believe, for a little while, but as his sort of empire of great resources has grown, Kirk Bushell has been incredible, just a great presence within the community to give us something that we need, which is FabDB. That has nothing to do with sponsorship, of which they do sponsor, but in reality, I've been consuming their products for way before they were involved in Instant Speed. So
good stuff.
That deserves a shout out. All right. Gray Bluncy Ball, first of all, identifies you as the person on the right of the tweet, which was Jason Momoa. But I mean, let's be real. Like, it's hard to tell. You are just this chiseled and an Adonis as he is.
Oh, I wish I was, yeah. But thank you, Pascal, Swiss national champion once upon a time. This is Grey Bluncy Ball. So yeah, the one on the right is Az, he's saying.
And the question, however, is what are your hopes for PvE? Because PvE is something that's announced, and what kind of system, or especially inclusion into armories, would you like? I guess of PvE to a degree, maybe.
Sure, yeah. Well, PvE possibilities at this point are absolutely endless. I mean, I could do you could probably do a whole episode or podcast on what you want to see in PvE, and I'm a massive fan of cooperative board games. I'm a massive fan of cooperative board games, and I think there could be all sorts of sort of board states, clocks on the game, debuffs on attacks and stuff that are coming in, tokens and allies that can only be sort of attacked by arrows if they're flying. You know, you have to have a ranger in your team to be able to hit them, and all that sort of stuff. And you know, I think Rudy on his video said that the PvE is going to be the commander of Flesh and Blood. So it's going to be amazing how this sort of evolves from here. But I think they're going to borrow a lot of elements from cooperative board games like Kingdom. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, I was going to say there's like that Marvel deck building game that I've played. I forgot what it's called, but it's basically, again, you have missions that you and your squad of 4 or 5 people, you're drafting cards out of a pool, and it's to a degree it's competitive, but nobody wins unless you defeat the baddie, and then at the end of the game you amass who has the most points, and so it gets kind of funky in that regard, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it could be awesome. Like, they'll probably borrow elements from things like Diablo, the RPG, where you go out on a quest, you come back to your sort of camp area, you then build up your equipments, your special equipments that you've got from this enemy that's only available in the PvE module, and you know that feeling of upgrading your deck and drafting your deck as you go through the experience, I think will be good. And I think you're referring to Marvel Legendary, which I've actually got on my board game shelf.
Damn right, that's the one.
Yes, which is fantastic.
That was a lot of fun.
So yeah, definitely. I've still got loads of expansions for that. I think, definitely.
Follow-up question here is essentially the add-on would be, especially, you know, what kind of system or especially inclusion into armories would you like? Now, I don't know if they're referring to PvE in an armory standpoint. Like, is that kind of what's going on here? Or are you just, maybe the question is just in general, what other kind of formats would you like to see armories be held in?
So I would like to see. I'd love to see this in an armory. I'm not sure whether it's the right place for it, but I think they've alluded to other formats being quite good in that sort of space, if this is what the question is. But the Team Blitz thing, I think, is a thing that could be really interesting and really cool to play with a team of players, where you bring your own sort of heroes to the fray that might be able to counteract another matchup or something like that. I think that whole space, the team aspect, is going to get expanded on. I think that'd be quite good. I think that's what the question was. I'm not sure, but there we go.
That's what you're getting. Yeah. Too bad.
Yeah.
This, I guess, the next question plays on a little bit about what you're talking about, and you made a very good point of, like, what if the PvE had something that's flying that can only be targeted by a certain type of weapon, like arrows or whatnot? And the question here is from Big Boss Book Club, asking, in a PvE format, who would be your perfect 4-hero team?
Ooh, so yeah, being a massive Marvel fanatic, and I'm sure you are as well.
Absolutely.
You would want to have, you know, your big sort of hulking powerhouse character. So you'd obviously choose maybe Rhinar or Leviathan for that, for a sort of Hulk out feel. Then you'd want some sort of dark and brooding sort of character. So maybe someone like Viserai or Chain, who's obviously ultimately a bad guy or has some form of dark arcane power that you shouldn't really have access to, but you need him on your team to deal with something in the fray. So something like that would be awesome. Then you'd obviously need your healer or your sort of light character. I don't think light really does this at the moment, but I think certain people or certain decks could bring potions to the group or what have you. I think you could build a whole archetype on that. So someone like Bolton or some sort of light character, and then some sort of utility character. So maybe someone like Dash or Azalea, who can do lots of different things, but not focus on one thing. So just having a nice little mixture of heroes, I think would be quite good, just like a typical RPG would.
I love it. And then exactly, it becomes an RPG to that degree where you have to cover your bases, right? Like, it's not you're going to go like, all right, I want Rhinar, Leviathan, and 2 Bravos. Like, that's not your
exactly
team, you know, where it's like, all right, we got to be up close and personal to fight this one, you know.
But saying that, if you wanted to do that, if you just wanted to have a Bravo bowl, you bring in bare-chested Bravos to the PvE scenario. You could even do a no pants variant where you don't wear any armor. It's just naked Bravos, and you just have to see how far you can get in the dungeon. That would be so good.
Yeah, except there'd be like the first round is like, all right, standard attack. Second round is the push-up contest. Third round is the pose off.
And then to Macho Grande.
Exactly. Then there's the swimsuit round.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, swimsuit special.
Oh,
absolute
Lord.
calendar Bravo.
Oh, boy. Next question from Andrew Mason asking, first of all, and again, more high praise for Mr. Az, saying, he's even sexier in real life. I guess that's got to be you.
He's met me. He's met me before, Mr. Mason. So I'll take that. Take that.
Okay. So the question here is, what do you enjoy doing more, the animations or the voice acting? And a question, I guess, follow up is also, who is your favorite Andrew? You can say Garfield. You can say Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, I could say Andrew Garfield. Absolutely, just blew me away in that Spider-Man film. I just love the tangents with Marvel and films going on here. Flake, it's fantastic.
You're welcome.
So yeah, favorite Andrew. That's a hard one because it's a bit of an in joke between the Discord. But I'll say Andrew Mason for the sake of the fact that he asked me a question, the other Andrew didn't. So there we go. And so there we go. You got one up on him there. With regards to animations and voice acting, so this is actually referring to the Go Again Gaming Open tournaments that I do. So in these said Go Again Gaming Open tournaments, I do adverts for my affiliates, and what I do is I make a graphic of like Reinar with my face speaking over that Reinar, which is promoting an affiliate of mine, and I do like a voice like this, like I'm Reinar. And I just love it. It's just great. It's all part of being a creator. And if you're listening to this, wherever you might be out there in a big wide world, and you want to employ me for voice acting roles, I am up for it. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just love creating. So both of those things, animations and voice acting, I do love. So thanks for that question. That's a nice one.
Tommy Fresh does an impression of me introducing my pod. I don't know if you can also pull off a Flake. I don't even know what a Flake would be like, but if you want to give it a go, now's your chance.
I don't even know what a Flake would be like. And if you want to pull it off now, no, I don't know. It's a hard one.
Yeah, you can work on it.
You got a nice timbre to your voice.
I suppose I do.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
That's why you are where you are, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it. Lord knows it's not the face. It's what comes out of the face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, what's fascinating? What's interesting is that so in 2020, I was I contracted a very like rare and like awful illness, something called Guillain-Barré syndrome. I was in the hospital for 4 months in ICU on a respirator and completely body paralyzed from the neck down for 9 weeks. Like,
jeez,
this is not. I'm not trying to like, fetch sympathy here. What I'm trying to get at is that for those several weeks, those 8 or 9 weeks that I was on a ventilator, I couldn't speak. I couldn't speak at all. And 9 weeks in ICU, I saw 150 nurses and doctors. Like, they come in and out. And I would, it's hard for me when I can't move, I cannot speak. All I can do is move my head and blink. Is to convey personality, and eventually some of them got to know me and whatnot, and they'd always look at my chart and say, "Oh, profession broadcaster," like, "Oh, like cool stuff."
Nice.
And when I finally was off the vent and was able to start speaking again, that to me was the biggest surprise factor because everybody had their opinion of what I would sound like. They're like, "Oh, you sound nothing like I thought you'd sound like," or people are like, "Wow, you sound exactly like I would think you would."
Yeah.
And then it's like, listen, I've been not speaking for 8 or 9 weeks. I'm gonna say some shit. Like, so the timbre aspect for me was interesting because you're not the first to refer to it that way, and I don't even know what it means. But yeah, like
timbre. Yeah, I was Googling it right now. In music, timbre, also known as tone or color or tone quality, is perceived sound quality of a musical note, sound, or tone. Timbre distinguishes different types of sound production, such as choir, and then it finishes.
I love it, man. The fact that you just fire that off, like zapping that out of your fingers, like finger guns.
Yeah, absolute snapback.
Last question, my friend. And now,
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge you, but I will quietly judge you on the inside because I was a Flair bartender for 5 years, and I sometimes would, slightly passively judge people for their drink choices. What other liquors do you enjoy drinking straight from the bottle? This is from Fab TCG Cards.
Fab TCG Cards, yeah. So, Jim from Fab TCG Cards. What a question, because I have a bottle here of Captain Morgan's Spiced Gold, which I'm going to crack. Look at this sound. Oh, yeah. Can you hear that?
Beautiful.
I'm just going to take a
little snifter of it, a little swig to get the blood going, right? Warm the nose.
Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, Captain Morgan Spice Rum is one of my favourites. Drinking it straight out of the bottle, ideally with a bit of rocks and lemon. But yeah, that's a warm one. That's for you, Jim.
That's not a bad one. Have you ever had Kraken as a dark rum?
Oh, Kraken rum, yes, yeah. I did nearly buy that one for Jim here, but yeah,
that is my go-to. I used to do Captain Spiced. Captain Spiced was something I definitely enjoyed. There was a drink that myself and a friend of mine by the name of his name's Gary, but he goes by House. He's been my friend since high school, and we made a drink called the Roman Coke, not like rum and Coke. It was called the Roman Coke.
Roman Coke,
because it was spiced rum, Galliano, and Coke. So we'd call it the Roman Coke because Galliano was kind of Italian. So a little bit of that vanilla liqueur with the spiced rum and the Coke. We called it the Roman Coke. Yeah, but I like your idea of adding a little lemon to it because we didn't do that. But lemon,
just a little bit of acidity to ease off the sweetness, I think. But yeah, that sounds banging. So yeah, when I come to wherever you might be,
just come to Canada. It's so small. Toronto, you got to come to Toronto. As honestly, I'm on record here that if ever you choose to come to Canada and you're in Toronto, you have a place to stay. And as you can see, there's plenty of things on the wall for you to read.
So much geekism, I love it. Yeah.
Well, I do sincerely extend this offer, and I have extended it before, and people have taken my offer up before, and it's always been a great time. I have a friend of mine from the Czech Republic who's actually coming to visit and stay here for a week or so to explore the country or explore the city at the very least. So, like I said, I'm a man of my word. If you wanna hop a ride here, maybe there's a calling in Toronto that hasn't been announced that you want to come and be a part of.
Okay.
Listen, you got my fridge, you got a bed that you can sleep on. I got you covered, buddy.
We got the Roman Coke going on as well,
dude. Well, we can make our own laboratory of debauchery if we want to.
Oh yeah. Oh, and then we'll stream that on my channel because it's not suitable for work.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, cool video about you and Az. By the way, you're fired. And yeah, so we're all good. Honestly, open invitation, and this has been quite enlightening and so much fun, my friend. Again, I will have you on the show post haste again because this is the kind of show I like to have where there's stuff going on, but who cares when we're talking about Legolas?
Exactly. Yeah. There's no pressure. Whenever there's not much going on, feel free to get me back on for another chimwag, another session of just loving life, really.
I love it.
So yeah. Appreciate your time, man.
There's plenty of room in my flat. Does that make sense? Did I do that right?
My flat, not the apartment, the flat.
It's a flat. Yes. And we can, go in my lorry. What's a lorry?
What's a lorry? I've never heard that before.
Oh, maybe I'm. Anyways, we'll check under the bonnet of my car and get some petrol. Whatever. Look,
get some petrol. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we could do. That sounds good.
We should just have like a word of the week on every episode where you submit a word and record your explanation of it, and I think that can maybe take off. The As UK translation of the day. You thought you knew English, you did not.
Yeah,
I like it. All right.
Yeah, sounds good.
My man, it has been a sincere pleasure to have you on the show. If anybody wants more of As or Go Again Gaming, please let people know the coordinates where they can punch in their hyperdrives and arrive right at your super awesome system of deliciousness.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm probably most active on Twitter at the moment. Go Again Gaming AZ. So go and follow me on there. If I can give you a link, will it be anywhere in the...
Send me the link. I will make sure that it is somewhere there so people can access it.
In the box somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, just go and click on that link and all my stuff will be in there. I'm still very much a smaller YouTuber, but just having fun with the game and doing conversations like this where we're just loving life and chatting about games. That's what I'm all about, really. And I hope you've got something from that.
I certainly have. If anything, there's a friendship here that I am so proud of, and I cannot wait for the three-cornered hat that is you, me, and Tommy to get together and shenanigans.
It's gonna happen, man. It's gonna happen.
Well, friends, thank you so much for tuning into the Instant Speed Podcast. Big shout out again to our patrons. Go to patreon.com/InstantSpeedPod. There are 3 tiers that you can support the show. We never hide content behind a paywall, so you'll always get all the Instant Speed stuff. But if you want extra perks, if you want some BCW supplies sent in your home, you can go ahead and check out the various different ways that you can support the show, as little as $1 a month to just say high five. Thank you so much. Here's a coffee for your efforts. All of you guys are incredible. Big time ups to everybody. And again, big shout out to our sponsors at fabdb.net and BCW Supplies. Friends, don't forget, you are not losing if you're learning. So keep playing the game. You might win. We'll see you next week on the Instant Speed Podcast.